Hello Fezwearers, the 3 Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials are right around the corner, and I'm just so excited for it. But the one thing I'm looking forward to the most is seeing the new TARDIS set. You may remember that all the way at the start of this year, some images of the new TARDIS interior for the 60th and beyond got leaked. But those images are very low quality and the set wasn't even complete. So today, using multiple sources like WhoSpy, some official posters, tales of the TARDIS, new images, quotes and more, I want to construct what this TARDIS will be like and how we might be seeing it in action with the 14th Doctor a lot sooner than you expected, and I also want to disprove some theories I've seen floating around. So just to lay out a basic image in your mind, all of the leaks got taken down by the BBC, but the artist's impressions still exist, and this is probably the most famous one. It's very similar to the leaks but also has some added things to it. From this and the leaks, we know that this interior is going to be very white with white roundels similar to many classic TARDISes, but also has quite a large rotor like the Toyota TARDIS. So it's clear that this is kind of like a mashup between several different interiors, and that suits what we've seen of other 60th stuff like the sonic screwdriver. But because this is also going to be Ncuti Gatwa's TARDIS in series 14 and 15, I think in the Christmas special or even at the end of the 60th, the TARDIS will be refined a little bit. We already know that the lighting will change, so maybe some other stuff will change as well. Also from the leaks, we can see how there's multiple ramps going in different directions into hallways, and these are ramps instead of stairs, probably because of Wilf, as we can see him in a wheelchair during the 60th filming and we know he goes into the TARDIS. So for once the TARDIS interior is actually going to be wheelchair friendly, which is always nice. And multiple people have been saying how large this interior is, and there's this recent quote from Russell T Davies that I got from the Doctor Who division on Twitter, and it basically just says how much David enjoyed this set, but after several takes he was worn out. That means that A, this TARDIS is massive, but B, there's going to be at least one scene where the 14th Doctor is running around it, maybe flying it or doing God knows what. I also vaguely remember a tweet from one of the directors that I can't find, but they just said about they're using a drone shot on the TARDIS, and this tells us there'll be quite a lot of empty space, maybe just near the ceiling, but I don't know. I hope there is quite a lot of like decorative stuff, otherwise it'll just look a bit boring. But we can see openings to some hallways, so it's possible there may be a scene or two set in a different room from the main console room. I really hope there are other rooms a part of the set that we can see on a regular basis, and it does look quite likely from these 2 official photos of the 14th Doctor in what looks like a TARDIS hallway. It matches the rest of the interior pretty well, so I wouldn't be shocked if it was somewhat linked. And now you have the bigger picture. With the use of some past WhoSpy images, you can zoom in a bit and take a look at what the console probably looked like. The console is the main part of flying a TARDIS, so it has to be good, and I think it really is, at least from what we've seen so far. This image is probably the most likely to be the TARDIS console, so let's dig a bit deeper. Now to be honest, this just looks like a console. Oh god. Now to be honest, this just looks like a console. I don't see how it could be anything else. It looks very similar to the 9th and 10th Doctor's coral TARDIS controls, with that sort of rustic look and exposed wiring, but obviously it's still following the rest of the TARDIS theme. Now this block of white looks like it could be a border between one section of the console to another one, which sort of forms that hexagonal shape. And this panel that's kind of looks like it's falling off could have a screen on it, or possibly it's just a keyboard or something. And if you're sitting there, or standing up I guess, and doubting that this is the TARDIS console, just look here. It's made us look like a light and could just be on anyone's ship like Beep the Meeps or something. But if we go back to the remake of the leak, that light is actually more than likely one of these roundels. I don't see how it couldn't be. And that means the WhoSpy image almost definitely has to be like a close-up shot of the controls on the console. It's a bit of a tongue twister. And just in case you were wondering, the console here is fan-made by the artist, as they weren't on the original leaks. Although I wouldn't be mad if this was the console, it looks pretty cool. And on a bit of a side note, I really hope the Daleks get an updated design. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but the Time War Daleks have been the default for far too long now. And I know that Russell recently said that there'll be a bit of a break with Daleks, so I can only hope that when that is over, they'll come back looking fresh and as scary as ever. Because ever since the Smarties coloured paradigm, no one's ever wanted a redesign. But maybe they won't actually be on hiatus, because about 2 hours ago there was this leaked Dalek voice line from the 60th, so I'll play that now.
Like the video or be annihilated by the Daleks.
Okay, maybe that was a bit too cruel. Anyway, this is another WhoSpy image that I firmly believe could be a part of the TARDIS, but not in the way you'd probably expect. Looking at this, especially this kind of lever thing, it does look like a control on the console, and that's what I thought originally. I mean, it kind of has to be in the TARDIS, as you can see some Gallifreyan text on whatever this thing is, and even the texture on the white thing around the outside looks awfully similar to the 9th and 10th Doctor's sonic screwdriver texture. But there are some good reasons why I changed my mind and actually don't think this is a part of the console. If you look at those white bits, I just don't understand what they could could be if this were the console. They're at such a strange angle, it's going inwards, and unless this console's in the floor, which I doubt it is, then I have no idea what this could be. Now obviously there are these like buttons and levers that very much look as if they could be on the console, but I have an explanation for that too. As we know, there could be, and I really hope there will be, other rooms. So if we are hoping really hard, there could be some form of secondary control room, or at least a different control panel, and that's what this could be. And the only way this could be a part of the main console in the main control room is if the previous one isn't, and I'm just too sure that is. So I'm gonna have to just say it, this is not a part of the console. And while we're talking about WhoSpy, I just want to mention these two photos, as I've seen a lot of people on Twitter or X or whatever it is these days, people have been saying that these are from the new TARDIS, which they just aren't. I don't think a TARDIS will ever just have some random USB ports in it, especially when it's in English and not Gallifreyan. And this looks a lot like it would be in a TARDIS, but it's actually in the background of this image, and is also in the background very briefly in some trailers, so that's also disproven. So recently Tales of the TARDIS happened, and the main set of that is a memory TARDIS, which is made up of parts from previous Doctor TARDISes and adventures. And by the way, I love this sort of mini spin-off thing. The Curse of Fenric episode was 1,000,000% the best. What if I told you in that series, that has been out for over 2 weeks, there's a bit of the new TARDIS in it as seen in the 60th? Well, that's exactly what I'm telling you. This panel here, which is at least seen like 5 times in every episode, could very well be from the new interior, because it just perfectly matches the colour scheme. I think it could be like a side panel or something, kind of like in the Toyota TARDIS. Unless I'm being really stupid, I believe this panel's never been in any version of the Doctor's TARDIS, meaning it has to be from a future one, i.e. the new one. I do remember the TARDIS saying in The Doctor's Wife that she has stored away console rooms that the Doctor hasn't actually used yet, so it isn't impossible to think that a memory TARDIS could remember something from the future. But maybe you won't have to theorise for very long. As you have probably seen, there's a brand new sketch featuring the 14th Doctor, taking place after Regeneration, airing tomorrow on Friday the 17th, during Children in Need, which is like a charity event if you're outside the UK. All we've been told is that this will take place on Skaro and will likely be kind of sequel to the 4th Doctor serial, Genesis of the Daleks, judging by this guy's collar and the Dalek type. And these are the only 2 promotional images that have been released, but I just don't see how the Doctor will get to Skaro. It could have something to do with the Celestial Toy Maker, or possibly the TARDIS could malfunction and then it could crash land there. And that is likely because throughout all of the trailers, the TARDIS is shown to be acting up, and that's probably because of the Toy Maker. And in this shot from the sketch, the TARDIS is literally right behind him. How else will the Doctor and the TARDIS get there otherwise? Although I am a bit skeptical to my own theory, as the sketch will only be about 5 minutes long, and unless there's only one very brief scene in the TARDIS, I doubt it will be in it. If you're new here, or even if you're not, I suggest you watch this video where I showcase all of the Masters TARDIS add-ons inside a Gary's mod, and also join my Discord for regular updates.